Hi, and welcome to our third class of our Friday morning acrylics class. And today we're doing actually 2 or 3 different things. We're finishing up the piece that you started on last week if you haven't finished it. You've got plenty of time to work on that, and they're looking beautiful, the ones that are moving along. They really look good. What that 2-color painting gives you great harmony in the piece. It holds it together. And so it's always good to think about limiting your colors because that brings a piece together. So we're working on that, and then I'm also going to do a demo on how to mix liquid acrylic paints. And I'm going to do one of the students' bottles here. I asked you to get bottles, and she got a beautiful, perfect bottle, perfect size, and I love this. The lid actually is attached to it, so you don't lose the lid. I lose my lids all the time. So anyway, we're going to do that, and then when we finish that, and we're going to let this sit while you're working a little bit on your 2-color painting, and then we're going to go on to doing a preparation for next week's class, and I'll do a demonstration on how to do that. And next week's class is the pouch. And so we're going to just kind of work on painting the surface and getting it ready to go for next week. And I'll talk about that a little bit more. But right now, I'm going to do a demo on how to make liquid acrylics. And as I said before, you can buy liquid acrylics, but it's silly to go out and buy it when you can make it just from your hard body acrylics. You know, you can do that with this. And so all you need is some distilled water. And this has to be distilled water. If you use water from the tap, it will smell like rotten eggs. So don't do that. But this is distilled water, and I have plenty here. I have another bottle down below. And just a regular paper cup. And pour the distilled water in the paper cup about halfway full. And then take a spoon, and I think about 3 scoops or 3 spoonfuls of this is about right. So it takes a lot, but I'll tell you that when you have liquid acrylics, they will last forever, a lot longer than your hard body acrylics will last. So you'll have them a long time into the future. And it's always, what's nice about the liquid acrylics is it's a great way to start a painting because you can get over the whole surface without too much trouble, and then go on with the harder acrylics afterwards. Okay? And this is using a lot, I know, but it will last. So, and then what you have to do is just spend some time stirring it because it doesn't really, the paint does not mix with the water really well at first. And so you've got to spend quite a bit of time stirring it and getting it into the water. And you can see how liquidy it is. Can you see that?
No. We'll trust you. We trust you.
Okay. But that's what we want. But it still has lots of color to it. It doesn't dilute the color that much, which is really interesting. So anyway, I would spend more time stirring this because you're going to see it's going to be a little lumpy when I stir it, when I pour it out. And it's hard to avoid that.
So just to reiterate, you did a half a cup of water and 3 big scoops of paint.
Right.
Okay.
And then if it's, what you can do after you're finished, if it turns out to be not strong enough color, you can add another scoop or 2 in. But I've found that this is kind of the right amount to use. And then I use, I've got plenty of little funnels here that you can borrow. And I use the funnel because you'd have it all over it. Now you see how that a bunch of it just kind of poured out at the end and it was kind of lumpy. So it's still kind of lumpy. That's pretty typical. And then you put the lid on. Put this lid on also, because you don't want it spraying all over. And this, shake it really good. And the last thing I do on this, because if you start doing this, you'll have several different colors. I write the color with marker on the outside of it, so I know what color it is, because sometimes you can't tell by just looking at it.
Like you write pyro red on there?
Yes, I would write pyro red, and then when you mix some more, you know you're not putting a different color in and mixing
Makes sense.
them. So it's just good. Okay, so it does better sitting overnight. It gets really mixed in after you let it sit overnight. And every time you use it, you should shake it again because it does settle a little bit. So that's kind of the process. It's very easy. And you just keep this in your studio and pull it out anytime you want to.
Where's the alcohol?
There's no alcohol in this. We're gonna use alcohol later in the process.
Oh, I'm so confused.
This is pure paint
Distilled water.
and distilled water, and that's all. And this will, I'll tell you, I've got, these I've had in my studio for at least 5 years, and it's still liquidy. As long as you keep the lid on, it will stay liquid for a long time. Actually lasts longer than my hard body paints that do get kind of solid sometimes in the tubes. So this lasts a long time. I love it. So anyway, and I use it as a base for a lot of my paintings. The first thing I put down is liquid acrylics and then add more paint on top. So anyway, that's this process. Any questions?
What color should we pick for this project?
Some color of red, some color of blue, and some color of yellow. And you probably want to keep warms with warms and cools with cools.
Okay.
Okay?
How do we tell?
Well, this is a cool.
How do you tell?
So, well, you didn't have the lesson on warm and cool.
Right.
But the cool is, I think
Cool means
phthalo blue would be a cool with this. And
ultramarine, okay?
Ultramarine.
ultramarine would be okay. It's probably more warm than cool, but, no, the other way around.
Phthalo blue is warm.
Okay, it's
You told
warm.
us I had to
Okay,
write it.
okay, phthalo blue is warm. Okay, it would be ultramarine with this, sorry. And for the yellow, you want to use the, not the Indian yellow, but you have a cadmium yellow or just a real pure yellow with this.
That's yellow ochre.
No, not yellow ochre. That would be a warm. You want to go cool with this.
Okay. I don't know
So
that I
if
have
you
it.
get,
Cadmium yellow.
Cadmium yellow.
I don't think I have one with me. Because the list said ochre. I have a Prussian blue.
Prussian blue might work.
I only have.
Okay, that's it.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know if you can see this picture of an Indian pouch, an indigenous pouch that we are going to be doing next week. But what we're going to be doing is preparing the surface for that. And you kind of got to see what people were doing over there. I told you guys to bring a piece of watercolor paper. You can use what they used, which really works well, is some brown bags and some brown paper. But since we have the watercolor paper, that's what we're going to use. And I've asked you to do red, yellow, and blue in the liquid acrylics. And what we're going to do is paint both sides of this paper because we're going to be folding it to make the pouch. And so you need to have both sides painted. And I want the two sides to be different. So what I'm going to suggest is you take two of these colors and use them on one side and use two other colors on the other side. Okay, do you understand that? Okay, so what's really nice about this liquid acrylic is you can go over the whole surface and just spray it around, and you can cover a lot. And you can mix the colors. And then you're going to have other colors come up on it. And you can use, this is just water. You can spray it with water. And it kind of spreads it around. I'd like to have the whole surface covered.
So no white left over.
What?
No white left over.
No white. Okay, so I've sprayed it with just plain water. That's one thing you can do. This is alcohol.
I like what the texture gives.
Sorry. Sorry.
Spray.
And you can see what the alcohol does, though. Are you okay?
I'm fine. I didn't go my direction, it went that way.
Oh,
Good aim, Tricia.
Sorry about that. Anyway, so I'm spraying with some alcohol, and the alcohol makes it kind of change color a little bit. See, it makes little things in it. We want to make this very textured. And I asked you to bring a scraper, which can add some interesting things to it. And you can use, if anybody doesn't have some of these, you can use mine. I have some other little things. These are fine tip. This is alcohol in here also. And that gives a little different look to it. A little splotchy. That has to be put back in. I have some salt, and the salt makes little sparkles. If you can get the salt out. And I also, oh, you know what I didn't do at the beginning? Actually, you should do this before you do the rest of it, but the masking fluid. Actually, I should have done, on the one that's up on the board, I put that down first and let it dry. So that's what you want to do. I forgot to do that. But, you know, you can get some images on that, circles and that sort of thing. I can use the end of the brush. And I even have some glitter.
Some what?
ooh,
Glitter. There's glitter here.
Everybody likes glitter.
You didn't say this was a Barbie
So anyway, just play around like that and try to get as much different surface on here. Another thing you can do is use saran wrap. And put it down and just kind of scrunch it around, and that has to sit and dry. That will make something good.
That's so cool. And then this paper is ultimately going to be folded into our pouch, right?
Yes, it's going to be,
Make the
actually, it's going to
pouch.
be the next two assignments. I think the pouch could take like half of this, and then the other half, we're going to do a woven piece. And so you're going to have half of it. But I want you, now I've used just yellow and red on this side. If I turn it over, I would want to use maybe red and blue or yellow and blue on the other side, so it's a different color. So that has to dry, so you can kind of let it sit and dry. And just kind of mess it up. Just, you know,
That
make
should
it
be
look,
easy.
Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can do the mess.
is this painted with masking fluid first?
yes, you should do the
Surface, like
masking
front and
fluid
back.
first. I forgot to do that. But that's, I've got a book of Indian designs. You could put an Indian design on it. But that will hold off the paint. And then you'll have to take that off after you finish. But,
I have,
so,
you could tape around, yeah.
Okay,
And we don't need to gesso this prior.
no. You wouldn't want to gesso this, because you want the paint, you want this paint to soak into the surface. Usually when you work with, well, I would say usually when I work with liquid acrylics, I do not gesso, because I like the way it looks when it soaks in. So a little more watercolor effect. So anyway, so all those things can be done. Let's see about this fine line. And you can borrow these, like this fine line. You do have, it has to be wet to use this stuff. I mean, once it dries, this doesn't work anymore. Yeah, that's cool. So anyway, yeah. So I think that was,
Oh,
yeah.
what's this? Is that glitter, the sparkly stuff?
Yeah, it's glitter. This is tubs of glitter,
Yeah.
which I spilled over everything. So, anyway, so water,
Yeah.
alcohol,
Yeah.
plastic wrap, masking fluid first, remember? Salt does something different.
Does the masking fluid peel out after it dries?
You have to kind of rub it off.
Okay.
Yeah,
Alright.
yeah, and it, maybe take an eraser and rub it, yeah. Okay? And then when this side dries, turn it over and do the other side. Okay, and this will be ready for next week. Okay.
These are the lovely pieces that people did in this class. Not everyone was finished, but you can see that these are the two color paintings that we worked on during the last two lessons.